Hello, this is for my sister Sarah since she wanted to do a live thing for prepping for Thanksgiving. So this is now live. So, things I'm going to be prepping for today because a lot of people don't realize that you can prep certain things for Thanksgiving. Some of them you can do a day or two in advance. So that's what I am doing now because a lot of times people wait until the day of to do all their cooking. It's an all-day event. You get tired, you get exhausted. So this way, you have some stuff you can do, get it out of your head, get out of your mind, and it buys you some time to be with your friends and family during those times. So, things we're going to start with is first, I'm going to start making a homemade cream mushroom soup. This way, I can do a green bean casserole and have that set up in the oven, in the refrigerator overnight. I'm also going to be prepping my stuffing and some fennel ramekins, which is a French recipe. So, please follow along and enjoy. And hopefully this gives you ideas for stuff you want to do for probably next year or another Thanksgiving. And don't forget, even if you do have a family recipe, don't be afraid to judge it and make it your own, unless it's something that everyone loves. But if you feel you can make it better, try it, experiment. What's it gonna do? So, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with my sliced mushrooms. I'm going to put them in a pan on the stove with some butter. Another thing you can use too, instead of butter, if you want to give it a more smoky flavor, you can use bacon fat. But I'm using butter, doing the Paula Deen thing, except since I'm making a good amount of this soup, I'm using a whole stick. Medium-low heat. Now I'm going to take my mushrooms, which 2 large containers, or what I like to do is mix them up. So I have sliced white mushrooms, baby portobellos, and since those are on the stove, don't really have to worry about them. You can't burn mushrooms. Now, you can burn your butter, so please be careful when you're doing that. Now, some other things that you can do while that is going to be cooking and prepping. One thing I like to do in advance is if you're cutting onions for anything, like I'm going to add a little onion to this, you might as well cut up your onions for your stuffing and anything else that you might need. So, let's get started with that. So, I'm going to be prepping onions for this soup, just to give it a little bit of added flavor. I'm also going to do some garlic, and since I need them also for my stuffing, I'm just going to cut up all the onions that I need. Because sometimes when you're cooking, or if you're just beginning to cook, you go, I need this amount of onion for this, so you start cutting onion for that one dish, and you forget to do for your other dishes, so that's why I usually say, cut a bunch up, put them in a container, put them in your fridge. That way, you're golden. That's stuff we used to do in kitchens a lot of times, is we would always dice up like onions and everything else that we needed, put them in containers, so this way, when you need some chopped onion, grab the container, put whatever little bit you needed. Since I just need a little bit for that soup. This way all those veggies aren't going to be away. So, I'm also going to be prepping, like I said, my stuffing today too. So, now I deboned my turkey, so I'm not going to be stuffing my turkey. So when I make my stuffing, I'm going to be putting it in the pan and getting it ready to bake tomorrow. So, also since my turkey has no bones, it's got to cook within an hour. I have about an 18-pound bird. So now some people are going to be like, why are you putting garlic and cream of mushroom soup, or why are you putting garlic in your stuffing? To me, adds a little bit of flavor, gives a little kick. But if you don't like garlic, don't put it in. Don't forget, holidays are what you make out of them. And like I said, sometimes if you have a friend, family members that you want to have help you cook, they can. Right, honey?
Yes.
But just have fun with it. Don't be worried, because everyone always stresses if it's their first Thanksgiving, like, oh my God, it's my first time cooking a turkey. If it's your first time cooking a turkey, good luck. Because a lot of people want that Norman Rockwell one. Best way I find to prep and cook a turkey is to spatchcock it. That's when you take the backbone out, push down on the rib cage, making it nice and flat, roast it like that. Cooks within an hour or two. Deboning it like I did, that again takes out the bones. So all you have to do is worry about the meat, and again cooks very quickly. I also dry rub brine mine, but like I said, figured if I show you, hey, if you get some stuff prepped up for like your day in advance, it's gonna help you out in the long run, because no one wants to be stuck cooking all day, especially during the COVID and this pandemic. So it's not like you can have a bunch of friends over, because, hey, a bunch of states are restricting travel and all that. So hopefully this will pass too. But remember, be safe. Now, one thing I prepped yesterday is I already made my cranberry orange relish. Now, a little secret for that, if you're making that from scratch, is you add a tiny bit of vanilla extract to help cut down the bitterness. Problem is, if you put too much, it's going to taste like a cranberry orange creamsicle, which mine does, because not too much vanilla. But hey, what can you do? So, for stuffing, aka dressing, aka the stuff you shove up the turkey or chicken's butt, everyone has their own recipe, and like I said, make it your own. If you want to add sausage one year, add sausage. Want to add mushrooms? Add mushrooms. This year I did a sourdough sage cheddar cheese bread, which I made on Monday, so that way it could age a little bit, get a little stale. So that's going to be in our stuffing this year. Last year I did basically blueberry craisin and brandy stuffing with fresh rosemary. So let me go wash my celery. Be right back. All right. Now, depending on who you are, some people like big pieces of celery in their stuffing. Other people, they want the stovetop rice pre-seasoned. Go for it. But some safety tips: if you are stuffing your bird, please make sure that your stuffing, when you put a thermometer into it while it's baking, make sure it reaches at least 165 degrees, because you don't want to have all those turkey juices while it's cooking giving you some salmonella and getting a bunch of your friends and family food poisoning. Okay. Now that is all prepped. So, check my mushrooms. Season those with a little bit of salt, some pepper. And let those continue to cook. So, oh boy. Oh, there we go. I was getting blinded by the light. Now, another little dish I'm going to do. Now, if you're wondering why I'm putting all my scraps in that bowl, you can use that to make vegetable stock, which you can use for your stuffing. I already, since I burned my turkey, made homemade turkey stock. And the reason why mine's a little bit browner is because, again, as you saw me putting onion skins and everything else in there, I also put that into my stock pot when I'm making turkey stock or chicken stock or any type of other stock. So it does give it a little bit more of a browner color. And I also reduced a 11-quart stock pot down to these. So that's why, if you're wondering, it's so colorful and also very gelatinous. Like I can, that's why. So next thing I'm going to do is get another pan on the stove, and I'm going to start prepping my stuffing ingredients, because that's one thing that you can always have prepped up in advance. And like I said, put it in a baking dish, put it in the fridge, and during the last hour of like you're cooking, just throw it in the oven. So let's get that done. Now, also in my stuffing, I have fresh herbs. Now, if you're using fresh herbs, you don't want to put those in until you're pouring your warm stock and your vegetables on with your breadcrumbs. The reason why is fresh herbs can lose their flavor very quickly. So that's why you want to use them at the last possible minute. So when you're making soups or sauces, you'll see cooks in like movies, TV shows, throw those fresh herbs in last minute. That's what's going to give you that flavor because they don't take that long. Now, if you're using dried herbs, those need at least 5 to 10 minutes to at least release their flavors. This, on the other hand, does not need that. So if you are using fresh herbs, remember, add those last, especially if you're going to be baking something like I am. Now, the herbs I'm going to be using are thyme, rosemary, and a little bit more sage, even though there's already some dried bell sage stuffing seasoning in the bread. I just like to give it a little bit extra just to give that little extra kick. So, again, since my husband will attest to this, since I love to cook and I always cook for small army. Yeah, I kind of do. So I'm going to put this on, again, medium, low heat since I am prepping quite a few things. I don't want to have to be keeping my back to the stove every 5 minutes. So. Now, another thing you can do too, if you are using butter and you're worried about the butter burning, is you can add a little bit of oil to raise that smoking temperature of the butter. So that way it's not going to burn as fast. You still have to watch it because if you are using butter, I'm using unsalted, the milk fats can brown, which can give you a nutty flavor. But again, you still want to be careful with it, anything that you're cooking. So let me move at least this one, the big one, and my chopped carrots, garlic, and onion, and celery. Not carrots. Celery, onion, and garlic over there for my stuffing. I'm going to put this back in the fridge because tomorrow I'll be making the gravy. Now it's time to prep everything else I need for my vegetables that are going to be on the side. So, I'm cooking Brussels sprouts. Again, those are going to be baked tomorrow. So, but I can prep by cutting them now. So, all I'm going to do since I already washed these in the little bag that they were in, save time. I'm going to be cutting these in half, and these I'm going to be throwing on a sheet tray tomorrow and just roasting. So, a little baggie. All I'm going to do, cut them in half. Now, if you don't like Brussels sprouts, don't need to make them. I like them. They're like little baby cabbages. But if you actually roast them with some oil, salt, and pepper, and maybe a little bit of ghee, which is basically a clarified butter, it's great flavor. And if you let them caramelize a little bit, it gives it a little bit of a nutty flavor too. Or you can pare and sear them in a pan with some butter, let the butter brown a little bit to give that nutty flavor. You can also serve it, if you want to, with a Dijon mustard sauce, which is simple to do. All you have to do is, after you have your Brussels sprouts the color you want, add a couple tablespoons Dijon mustard, splash of cream, spread that around the pan, And voila, you have an instant sauce. Other sauces you can do like béarnaise, hollandaise, whatever you want to do. And don't forget, experiment, try. You might find something that you actually really like. Other times you might be going, don't like this. That's fine. Just do what you feel is good for you. So. Away Brussels sprouts. So your eyes are not deceiving you. Yes, these are purple ones. I mixed some with green ones. This way you get little splashes of color. Don't be afraid to try something new. Heck, interesting fact, carrots used to be purple until people came around and actually kept cultivating them and making them be orange. So you can still get purple carrots some places. Heck, other places you can get rainbow carrots. Don't be afraid to try new things. Also, I'll be going live tomorrow while cooking Thanksgiving, so this way, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can ask. I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Now, I am doing a later Thanksgiving, like dinner time, so don't expect to see me first thing early in the morning. All right. My Brussels sprouts are prepped. So I can throw these right back in the fridge. Less thing I have to worry about tomorrow. Also, really big thing, anytime you're cooking, don't forget to season everything that you're doing. So if you see me grabbing salt, pepper, that should be basic knowledge when you're making anything, especially for like a holiday or anything. Alrighty. letting my mushrooms reduce down so they get very umami, like good flavor, while I'm prepping my ramekins, or I should say my fennel ramekins. So, as you see, I have my dishes. I'm going to be buttering those after I make the filling. So, what I need is 2 eggs. Again, some salt, some pepper, now I'm also going to need my fennel, which I already cooked. Now, I cooked my fennel last night in milk. Now, I cooked the fennel for at least 30 minutes, so that way it's nice and tender. And this we're going to puree. So, you want about half a pound of fennel for 2 eggs, or if you want the whole recipe, one pound of fennel to 4 cups of milk, which you're going to simmer it in, 4 beaten eggs, 1 tablespoon of anise flavored alcohol. So if you go, what's anise flavored? Think of Sambuca. It is that licorice flavor. So set the milk aside. And I'm going to quickly puree this with the eggs. And I'm going to need 1/8 of a cup of cream. Now, that's because I've cut my recipe in half, but you also, if you're doing the full recipe, which serves 6, you want 1/4 cup. So, all right. That's just going to help it be velvety and smooth. And one of the best inventions ever. Now, if you don't have butter for recipes or you don't like it, you can use margarine or you can use a vegan substitute. That's all up to you. But with these ramekins, basically in this recipe, you want to grease the vessel that you're using. Now, yeah, these are like little casserole dishes, which you can use to serve more than one person. But just going to grease those. This will make it so it doesn't stick. So basically with these fennel ramekins, it's basically almost like a fennel mousse that you're cooking. Because you got you got the cream, you got the milk, you also have eggs, so that's going to help combine it. Again, salt and pepper. If you don't want to use the alcohol, you don't have to, but it does give you that more fennel flavor. So just something to look to. So let's quickly prep this. One container. Now this we want to bake for at least 30 to 40 minutes in a warm oven. Doesn't give you an exact recipe in this cookbook. So I'd say while you're baking everything else at like 350, 325, just check on it, make sure it's nice and firm. To serve it, you'll cut around the edge, flip it out onto a plate, and serve with some fresh herbs and some chopped scallions or chives if you want to. But since I'm going to be cooking these tomorrow, time to wrap it up. Now, the good thing about prepping stuff for your Thanksgiving meal in advance is you're not going to have all those dishes that you would on Thanksgiving Day. So this gives you that little bit of time to actually get some stuff done. Now, another thing I prepped today, which I'm going to be serving as a side dish, is North salad. I will be doing another video on that another day because my older sister wants that. My younger sister just wanted me to do prep videos just so she can get an idea of, hey, if she ever wants to do a Thanksgiving, this is something she could do and follow along with. All right. So some things you can do with that fennel milk if you want to. You can make it fennel custards, which will give you that little bit of anise herby taste. Or you can actually use this in your cream mushroom soup to give it a little bit of add flavor and that little bit of, ooh, what is that? Because fennel, if it's the actual herb bulbous part, which I had chopped up and simmered in the milk, it's not as strong as the fennel seeds. You still get a little bit of that flavor, but it's not going to be as powerful as if you're using the seeds. So I'm going to be using this in my cream of mushroom soup. So, check on the mushrooms. So right now my mushrooms have a really nice color, a little bit of caramelization, which is going to add some really good flavor. Now, since I cooked them in a stick of butter, and a lot of times people are going to be like, that's a lot of butter. But I'm not going to be using all this soup tonight for like the one recipe. So that's 8 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to need equal parts of flour and make my roux. Right, honey?
Yeah, I was actually thinking you said butter and equal parts flour, and like it has to be a roux. So
Yes, it's a roux. Roux. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, roux is something you can also make in advance too. Doesn't always have to just be butter. You can use bacon fat, turkey fat, whatever you want to actually add more flavor to. So I usually say if you're making a pork dish and you take those drippings, take the fat out, add equal parts of fat and flour to make your roux, and that fat from that whatever you're cooking will actually add more flavor to your food. Butter does add a nice silky, velvety taste and texture, but sometimes if you want to just give a different taste, use different fat. Use duck fat, bacon fat. Also, make sure you recycle. So I'm not just throwing stuff away. I'm actually putting like the butter box and stuff into my recycling. I'm taking the paper that was wrapped around the butter and putting that in the trash. Okay, now I'm letting my flour in my roux just cook just for a couple of minutes because you don't want to have when you're making soups or anything like that that burnt or that raw flour taste. So cooking it for a minute or two, that's going to help you out so much better. So, like I said, I'm going to use my fennel milk to give this a little bit of extra added flavor. Heck, if you want to use a little bacon to give your green bean casserole a little extra oomph, do that too. Like I said, just doing subtle changes can make the difference when you are doing these recipes. So. Let me quickly put some stuff away, and then we're gonna make some stuffing. Hey, honey, do you want me to save some of the rolls for dinner tomorrow? Okie dokie. Just want to double check. All right, stuffing. So, as you can see here, this is my cheddar cheese and sage bread that I'm turning into stuffing. Again, I made this a day or two ago because I wanted it just to firm up just a little bit. Remember, like I said, if you're the type of person that likes, stovetop, use stovetop. You don't have to go, well, this person used this. If you don't like that, change it up. Make the recipe your own. So, just gonna cut that into nice big chunks. all that butter and unique garlicky goodness. So, I fell on the corn mushroom soup. That's a really good flavor. Very subtle, but it's gonna just heighten the green bean casserole just that little bit better. So, since my bowl is too small, time to use my stock pot. Now, like I said, I want to add some fresh herbs to this. So, some rosemary. Now, I bought one of the poultry packs, which has all those herbs I told you about, like the thyme, the sage. Now, if you have dried and that's all you got, that's fine too. Now, time to add some of my stock. Oh. Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
You need to try this.
Say African run. So
Just stand over here. They won't see you.
what am I crying?
Stephanie.
Oh, it's big pieces. Man.
Boom. Okay. Now again, if you're going to be baking this in the dish, one or two things you can do. One thing that's going to really help with cleanup. Lining your pan with fuel. Again, butter, whatever you're going to put in a vessel. Now again, this is all prepped for tomorrow. So all I have to do is, once I put the turkey in the oven, and also a good note, you want your meat to be room temperature when you're going to cook it. So I usually say if you're going to cook your turkey, pull it out an hour before you're going to cook it. That way it has time to warm up. Because if not, that middle of the meat stays so cold that it takes longer. And by the time that cooks, the center, you can have drier meat on the outside. So trying to get your meat as close to room temperature as possible. I'm not saying pull your turkey out hours in advance, maybe at least 1 hour. So that way it warms up. Now, I'm going to throw this in the fridge. And like I said, tomorrow once I throw the turkey in the oven, I can pull this out. And when I pull my turkey out of the oven and let it rest for the 30 minutes to an hour, I can throw all my sides in. So that way they're nice and piping hot. So this is going to quickly go in the fridge. And then I'm going to finish prepping my green bean casserole. Okay. So green bean casserole. Again, super easy. I love fresh green beans. So, I like my green beans a little bit bigger, but if you want to, you can cut them into bite-sized pieces, which a lot of people like to do. And since it's not always what I like, might as well do what the people want. Plus, if you have little kids that are joining you or anything like that, having those bite-sized pieces are usually a little bit better. Interesting facts: as a kid, we used to have a garden, and my father used to tell us, "Hey, go out pick some vegetables, go with dinner." And we didn't use any pesticides, so we would just go eat green beans, anything right off the vine, and go in for dinner. And guess what? We already filled up on vegetables, which was my father's plan, because less we had to eat, and less my mother had to cook. Because believe it or not, back in the day, if we didn't have central air conditioning, so to cook in a house during the summer was never always fun, especially when it's like 90 to 100 degrees, plus putting an oven on, making it even hotter. So, green beans are cut up. Now, I made homemade cream of mushroom soup, but I made mine a little bit thicker. You because since I'm using fresh green beans, those are going to be releasing liquid. And I know that liquid's going to help loosen that up and make this more saucy. Now, you can use French's fried onion, or you can slice very thin your own onions and fry them up. But I find sometimes some store-bought items make your life easier. And if you're too worried about prepping all this food, sometimes a shortcut's not going to kill you. So. Mix some of them into your green bean casserole because you want the flavor of those fried onions. The best part is since I am prepping this in advance, I can quickly try some, see if it needs any more seasoning. Needs a pinch more salt. Best part about these, make a great snack. Right, Mikey Coon? Mikey's my one-eyed cat. Not gonna pick him up to show you because he does not like being picked up. And I don't want to be yelled at by a certain somebody. So, that is all my prep I need to do for today because, like I said, I already have everything else prepped. The only thing I have to make tomorrow is prep the potatoes, which I'm roasting, and make some gravy, which I'm going to be using my homemade turkey stock. So have fun. See you tomorrow.